What's going on, everybody? It's your boy James Borishade, CEO of Circle Urban Ministries, and author of the book The Governing Rules of Dating and Relationships. I'm here with one of my longtime friends, Ramo Bay, CEO of iFlip Chicago. Mo, why don't you tell them a little bit about what iFlip Chicago is?
iFlip Chicago is a premier real estate group here in Chicago, specifically for first-time homeowner, first-time real estate investors. Specifically for those who are looking to rehab homes and sell them to first-time homeowners in the south side and west side of Chicago.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We affectionately call them Coach Bay. They call me Coach James, and that's because we look at, as successful young black men, we want to make sure that we go back and leave no man behind. And so we go back and coach those who are interested in doing what we're doing. And we're just, today, there's no format to this conversation. We're just talking about lessons learned. Lessons learned from prior relationships, lessons learned in business, lessons learned in marriage. And if we had to put a title on it, it would be Kingdom Principles for Successful Living. And so, for those of you who don't know my story, I was married 15 years, and then one day was told, you know, I want a divorce. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. There's nothing like going through a divorce. It's actually worse than watching someone die. I actually held my father in my arms the day of his death, and that feeling could not compare to hearing I want a divorce. And so I went through the 5 stages of grief. I went through denial, I went through anger, turned to bargaining, and then it turned to depression, and then it turned into acceptance. But I went through an extra stage of that, and that 6th stage was determination. And so I looked up, read every book, seminar, report, website that you could find on relationships, marriage, and why they fail and why they work. I even hired a coach. And so to tell me what I was doing wrong, what I had done wrong, to make sure that I don't make the same mistake in another relationship. And so now I'm in a relationship with a wonderful, beautiful woman, and glad to say not making the same mistakes. And so we're going to kind of talk to you guys about some of our history, and hopefully our transparency can help you in your next endeavor, your next relationship. So
Absolutely.
We decided to turn on the camera because we were in the middle of a conversation about what separates those who are successful from those who are not. And one of the things that we talked about was, I don't understand why so many people are scared to get a coach, to get coaching. You know, and one of the biggest keys to my success has been knowing what I don't know. And so I have a principle of, you know your strengths and you staff your weaknesses. And so if you're entering into a new business, I almost always go get a coach to tell me, you know, what I need to be looking out for, what I need to do, and why I need to do it. And Mo, what would you consider to be one of your guiding principles for success?
As we were sharing earlier, one of the things I learned years ago, as Coach Borishade was mentioning, you know, we've both been married before. I was married 8 years, and I learned a real simple principle, and it's called humble yourself. And this principle changed my life, because sometimes we don't want to admit, you know, that we don't know.
Yes.
And we try to parade like we do know.
Yeah.
And it causes a lot of hurt, and it could cause some deep hurt. It could cause divorce. And I took this principle not just in relationships but also in business. And so it really inspired me to be a better person, and inspired me to get help. It inspired me to learn, you know. And once I really understood, you know, when you don't know something, it's important to not put on an act like you do know, but to get a coach in areas where you might be lacking. And sometimes if you're not 100% sure where you're going, it's okay to ask for help. And that's another principle. Not only just humble yourself, but it's okay to ask for help.
It is. It is.
Why is it so difficult for people to ask for help?
And listen, for those, you know me, you know I'm real. It's more difficult for African American men to say, I need help.
Yeah.
I need help. I need help. I don't know. I don't know why it's so difficult, but a guy by the name of James Cleveland changed my life. He actually sat me down. My first taste of being a leader of an organization, I ran Jumpstart for Young Children. I was the executive director of the Midwest region, which means I had 7 states, 30 direct employees, and then like 700 core members across the different states. And you know, I had no idea what I was doing, flat out. But I didn't want to tell anybody I didn't know what I was doing, because they hired me to know what I was doing. They hired me to know what I'm doing. And so he sat me down, pulled me to the side. He said, "Listen, you do not need to have all the answers." So what do you mean? He said, you need to be able to say you don't know. And that's actually the reason you hired those other people. If you are the expert on every subject in the room, then you are in the wrong room and you hired the wrong people. You hired the wrong people.
That's
so
good. That's good.
That advice, coupled with some other advice, helped me sit back and start saying, you know what don't I know? I actually had to do a SWOT analysis of myself. What are my strengths, my weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats? What don't I know? My dad used to say, he who does not know and does not know that he does not know is a compound fool.
It's a fool.
And so one of the things I would encourage people to do who are listening is to find out what your strengths are, find out what you don't know, and then staff your weaknesses. And let me tell you this, we're not making this video to sell you anything. There will be no links at the end. We're not selling any product at the end of this. What we're doing is we're trying to really open up the curtains, go behind the scenes, and let you in on real live conversations. We got the grill going.
Yes.
We're back here strategizing and say, you know what, let's let other people behind the curtain and see what goes on with successful black men.
Yeah, I think you know, going back to relationship wise, it's very important to listen to the person that you were in a relationship with. If you never had this conversation,
let me pause you. You keep going. I'm gonna go check the grill.
If you never had the conversation with that person on why you didn't work out, or if you remember some of the things that person told you, it's very important. Because if you're in a relationship, another relationship, and you're starting to hear the exact same things, that means it's not them, it's you. It's not them, it's you. And you have to humble yourself and accept the fact that, you know what, okay, maybe it's something I did. I remember when my ex-wife told me, you know, you're always raising your voice. And I'm it's not like I'll get mad or angry or whatever. I just talk loud. And you're always raising your voice. And you know what? That's not okay. You know, that's not okay. And so I remember getting another relationship afterwards, and actually with my wife now. And she told me that maybe a few months ago. And you know what? I promised her. I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'm wrong. Because I remembered exactly what they said before. I said, you know what? I will make sure I will not raise my voice with you. And I will make sure I respect that, because, you know, they take that wrong way. They take it as if you're hollering at them, and, you know, it kind of shuts them down. And so I had to humble myself and learn. And those are just instances, it's examples for men.
Yeah.
We have to be willing to humble ourselves, accept what they're saying as true and factual, without putting up, because we love to debate. You know, we think women love to debate, but men love to debate because we don't never want to humble ourselves and say we're wrong. And so just in that instance right there, we need to think back at what others have told us. And if we see the same pattern, then maybe it's us. It's
just
not
maybe.
Just maybe.
It's interesting you would say this. We have not had this conversation before, but that's been one of the big turning points and keys to my new relationship. My ex-wife used to tell me certain things, and I thought, again, if we're being honest, I thought she was crazy. I'm like, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm a good man. I'm working. I'm providing. There's a roof over your head. There's a house. There's this. We doing this.
Everything's good.
So I thought she was nuts. So in my new relationship, I started hearing some of the same things. I was like, son of a biscuit, it's got to be me. One of my good friends, And you know, I'm gonna throw a shout out. One of my good friends, Farrah, said to me, she said, you know, either it's you or you got a type, or you just picked the exact same women. And I knew these two women had nothing in common, so
it's got to
be.
Right.
Well, actually, they do have something in common. Me. So I was like, okay, let me pause. Let me hear you. Let me stop, and let me make a commitment to change that thing. You know, at least be aware of that thing. And I did something I absolutely don't like doing. We actually decided we're going to counseling. We don't have to have a problem to go to counseling.
Absolutely
we're going to get help.
Absolutely
we're going to get guidance. We're going to get coaching from someone who is further down the road than we are.
Best advice ever. Michelle and I went through, before we got married, we went through 8-week marriage boot camp.
Tell them who Michelle is.
Michelle is my wife, and you know, I've been happily married for now 3 weeks. And yeah, we're super excited about that.
You know, they're newlyweds.
But before we got married, we did an 8-week boot camp with our pastor, Pastor Reggie Royal. Shout out to Pastor Reggie Royal, Lifeline. It's very important. It's pertinent. It's because you know what? You're in class with other married couples, and also engaged couples, and couples who have the intent to be married.
Yeah.
So everything went out there. Everything is talked about. And so when you talked about getting counseling before marriage, that's the best thing you could do. Nothing is wrong, okay, Christians? Christians, I'm talking to you, Christians, especially black Christians. Nothing is wrong with counseling in any area.
In any area.
Any area. Okay?
I know that's taboo for us.
It's taboo for us. Because God's supposed to fix everything what we need.
And we just pray.
We're going to pray.
No, get that out of here. Get some counseling. Get some help. Get some help. Scream from the mountaintops. Help.
Yes.
I need help.
If you want to be successful, we're talking about being successful, right?
Be successful.
In our areas of our life, with relationship, business, you need help. One of the things, as I started iFlip Chicago, one of the people that I enlisted was one of the leading agents in the city, Frank Montreux. And Frank Montreux, if you all don't know him, sells at least 300 homes a year, right? And that was one of my very first coaches in this business. He's not a mentor. We talked about this, the difference between a mentor and a coach. And Coach Borishade will talk to you about that. But he's my coach because he's still in the game doing what I'm doing. Okay, I've been doing real estate now for over a decade.
Y'all don't mind me going in and out.
12 or 13 years. And I was very successful in the beginning. But when the real estate market crashed, so did my income, okay? And so I knew I wanted to get back into the game, but I needed to partner up with somebody that understood that never stopped being successful, even in the biggest recession. And there was only one person I knew that was still selling homes well above market, and that was Frank Montreux. And so I enlisted him as a coach. And then I started iFlip Chicago, and the rest is history. Because you want to be able to mirror successful people. And there's nothing wrong by duplicating, copycatting. They taught us that copycatting was wrong when we were young, but that was the worst advice ever.
Yeah. It's the greatest form of flattery.
Why not copy somebody that's very successful?
Exactly. So here, in the real business world, with real principles, there are copies all the time. I'll give you a prime example. You've got, and I won't throw no names out there, but some of you have one operating system on your phone. Some of you got a different operating system on your phone. One of them had to come first. And so copying, replicating, or duplicating what you see someone else doing is just business 101.
Yes. Success
always leaves clues. Follow the breadcrumbs.
Burger King has no problem being number 2.
Right. Right.
Wendy's, White Castles, they have no Portillo's. Pick a burger place.
They follow them.
I mean,
in fact, when one opens in an area, the other one is shortly there to follow.
Shortly there to follow.
Because they already know you've done the market research.
Come on now.
You've done the homework. You've done the work for me. So this has to be a viable area.
So men, if you know that and you see fellow successful business owners on Facebook, on Instagram, your friends doing these things, it's okay to ask them for help. And the other thing is okay is to pay them.
Oh gosh. Yes. Yeah.
Stop thinking you're going to get everything. Stop looking for free stuff. Nothing is free.
Yeah.
It's worth every penny to pay somebody to be your coach.
Yes.
Humble yourself. Yes, that's your best friend. Yes, that's your friend, whatever, they doing this. And you sitting there with your wife looking at you. She's looking at you trying to figure out what's the plan. And she's trying to figure out if she's going to really submit to you. You having a problem with your wife submitting to. That's because you don't have a plan.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Would you talk about a submission? And
so I coach a few couples who come to me and talk about. Some of the guys come and say, my wife will not submit, and I said, so what you're saying to me is she will not exercise her right to submission. And I use those words like that on purpose. And I'm like, what do you mean by exercise her right to submission? I said, because what you have to look at is the word submission. The word submission means subject to a mission. And I always ask the guys, what mission are you asking her to be subject to? And is that mission written down? Does she know that mission clearly? If the answer is no, don't expect her to submit. We teach a lesson called Omaha. And for those of you who are football fans, Peyton Manning is one of my favorite quarterbacks. They'll throw the play in to Peyton Manning. He'll look at what he sees on the defense, and if he thinks he needs to call an audible, you'll hear him yell, Omaha, Omaha, Omaha. Some men, your wives are yelling Omaha. She's calling audibles on plays because she's too busy. She's tired of getting sacked. How many times are you going to call a play that does not work, and her job is really to execute your play?
Yes, she's the head that helped you.
She's right, and she knows from prior experience that she is going to get sacked. And so rather than argue with you, because you can never be wrong, and I'm speaking from experience. I was one of those. Rather than argue with you because you can never be wrong, I would just get out on the field and say Omaha. I'm calling a different play when it's my time to execute.
And men, you wonder why you're frustrated because she won't, what you call quote unquote submit. That's because she's frustrated first, because you haven't committed to the plans that you said you was going to do 10 years, 15 years ago. You stopped waking up early, going to bed late, trying to execute that. Women love to see our man sacrifice.
Yes.
They don't mind sacrificing with you as long as they see you sacrifice.
They don't. We should be Facebook Living this right now. We really should. We really should. We should be Facebook Living this right now. In fact, I might, the next time I got to go check the chicken, I might pause this and go Facebook Live. But what my brother is saying is we don't keep our commitment to our commitment. And if you don't keep your commitment to your commitment, it looks to them like you're winging it. And the last thing they can afford to do with their lives and the lives of their children is wing it.
Oh.
Especially for somebody who don't look like he knows what he's doing.
Oh.
Or won't admit that he don't know that he's doing.
And that's the thing. You know how men sometimes never want to ask for directions?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about.
We know where we know where we want to go.
Right.
But we don't know the best route to get there, and we end up getting lost. And the woman is basically saying, why don't you stop?
Why don't you stop?
And ask somebody
for directions.
And we keep telling her what.
I know where I'm going.
I know where I'm going.
I know where I'm going. And she's seen that tree. She done seen that Taco Bell 15 times.
Yep. And you wonder why. I'm sorry, man, because it starts with us.
Yeah.
It starts with us.
We're going to pause the video right there, go Facebook Live, and then tell you from a spiritual perspective how it starts with us. That's your boy James Borishade with your boy Ramo Bay. Yes. We'll be back.